Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. Is there really a difference between that oil and this oil, the regular Pennzoil Platinum? Let's find out. In our previous video, we went over regular Pennzoil, Pennzoil High Mileage, and Pennzoil Platinum. We'll leave the link for that video in the description box below if you want to get caught up on the series. But one of the questions that came up in the chat below was, what about Pennzoil Ultra Platinum? What's the deal with that? So we have it, we've analyzed it, so let's get into the results right now. Pennzoil Ultra Platinum, as it says on the label in the back, it actually has a thing that compares it to all the other oils. And right there it says extreme protection. What does that mean? Well, I actually have a pretty good idea of what that extreme protection actually means. But I'm not going to tell you right now. You got to wait to the end of the video and then I'm going to tell you where that actually comes from. But let's go ahead and jump right into the regular oil analysis details. So right off the bat, we can see that Pennzoil Ultra Platinum is a 5W30, just like the Pennzoil Platinum 5W30. 9.9 centistokes versus 10.1 centistokes. That's just the margin of error with the blending. There aren't any differences in viscosity between Pennzoil Platinum and Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. When we look at oxidation value, we do see a difference. The regular Pennzoil Platinum was 3.6 on the oxidation level, 10.1 on the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. That's the first hint, the first sign that there is something different about this Pennzoil Ultra Platinum compared to that Pennzoil Platinum. We get down to the silicon, which is the anti-foam. They're basically the same, 5 and 4. That's no difference. We get into the additive package. And we see something here a little bit. The calcium with the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum is 1,029 compared to the regular Pennzoil Platinum at 780. And then the magnesium is also 532 compared to the regular Pennzoil Platinum at 321. So we've got more detergent in the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum than the Pennzoil Platinum. The next thing we see is the zinc and phosphorus levels, 605 to 691. Again, that's within the range of blending error, margin of error. There's no difference there. What we see, there's a little more detergent in the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum compared to the Pennzoil Platinum. The ZDP package is essentially the same, but we do see an increase in the molybdenum and the boron. So there was no boron in the Pennzoil Platinum, but there is boron in the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. Now that could be from a friction modifier. It could be a borate ester. I think it is. We'll get into that more a little bit later. But we also see that moly level has gone from 60 parts per million to 97 parts per million. That's an increase. To go along with that increased detergent, they've increased the friction modifier package. That's what's setting the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum apart. But what really matters is that oxidation level. And like I said, when you combine that oxidation level, that increase from 3.6 to 10.9, and you bring that along with the boron levels, what that makes me realize is what they've added is probably a borate ester. So esters are a type of base oil. They fall into the group 5 category. They're very polar. They have really good anti-wear properties. They can be friction reducing properties. And like we said in the label, it says extreme protection. Yeah, I think that's where it's coming from. And the reason why I say that is when we go beyond what just that oxidation level is. See, oxidation level actually comes from a test called FTIR, which is basically an infrared trace of the oil. So what we're going to do right now, let's go look at all the infrared traces on all 4 Pennzoil samples, and I believe you're going to see what makes Pennzoil Ultra Platinum different. What gives it that extreme protection? You're going to see it right here. So let's begin with just the regular Pennzoil. You can see that trace right there, that big spike there to the left, that's the base oil. Those little spikes, those 3 other spikes over to the right, that's the additive package. When we compare that regular Pennzoil to the high mileage, they look exactly the same, other than there's this for smaller spike in between the big base oil spike and the additive package spike. That's the ester for this heel swell agent that we talked about that makes it a higher mileage oil. It said it on the label, we can see it in the oxidation level, and it shows up right there as that ester spike, right in that range where esters are located. Now, when we go down to the Pennzoil Platinum, that oxidation level went lower, you can see a change in the base oil, right? It doesn't have that wide frayed top, it's narrower at the bottom. Why is that? Well, that's because it's the GTL base oil versus the conventional base oil. So you can see that change in base oil just by comparing those two spikes for the base oil. There's the regular, there's the Pennzoil Platinum. So I went from a group 2 to the group 3 GTL base oil, and you can see a difference in what those base oils look like under that FTIR, that chemical trace. But then let's go down and take a look at Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. And there's the ester spike again, but this time it's two small spikes. It's not the same ester as what was added in the high mileage oil as a seal swell agent. It's a completely different ester, and that's what makes me think it probably is a borate ester, which is what's giving it that extra wear protection. Is it's a synergist, right? So the borate ester can work with the moly and the ZDP, and the three of them together can produce a greater result in terms of wear protection than any just one of those additives by itself. I can't prove it because I don't know the formula, but looking at this data and my experience formulating oils and using borate esters in some of those formulas would say I think that's what this is, which is why it's a pretty good oil. In fact, it's so intriguing, I'm gonna try that in my own oil. I said I was gonna try the Pennzoil Platinum. Well, now I've convinced myself by looking at this, I wanna try the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum in my Porsche to see what it does, because this is a pretty interesting looking oil. I'm curious, I'm gonna try it out, and when I do, I'll share it with you. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that video. Thanks for watching this one.